courtesy of Billboard. Taylor Swift announced on Friday she was regained her ownership of her master's recording from Shamrock Capital, the private equity firm that purchased them from Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings in late 2020. According to sources, Shamrock sold Swift's catalogue back to her in an amount relatively close to what they paid for it, which sources tell is around 300. Excuse me? Yo, Taylor Swift, is that rich? Taylor Swift paid $360 million to get her masters back. God almighty, this woman is caked up then, isn't it? Maybe it's why we should be talking about it. If I'm not mistaken, when her masters was sold without her consent or whatever, that was a big deal. I remember she was freaking out about it on social. But I also remember her going out of her way to re-record some of her albums. You remember? She re-recorded a bunch of those albums, and then she was like pushing the fans to not listen to the ones that Scooter and his brand owned, and instead listen to the ones that she re-recorded. And I think she might have titled them another way so the fans could spot which one was which, or could tell the difference. So what's happened to that album? What happens to the one that she re-recorded? Does that get deleted from DSPs? But fucking hell, she bought it back for $360 million. This woman is fucking rich, innit? I didn't know she was that fucking caked up. In a message on her website, Swift says, "All the times I was this close to reaching out for it, only for it to fall through, I almost stopped thinking that it could ever happen. After 20 years of having the carrot dangled and then yanked away, but this is all in the past now. I really get to say these words. All of the music I've ever made now belongs to me. All of my music videos, all of my concert films, the album art, the photography, the unreleased songs, the memories, the magic, the madness, every single era, my entire life's work." You know what's really funny and sad about this? Now that I've kind of, got into live streaming, now that I can refer to myself as a very cringy title as a content creator and shit, it's kind of wild to think that this is uncommon. That it's uncommon that people that make work, make art, make content, whatever it may be, don't own it. And that is very common in the music industry. You make your music, but usually the people that make the music don't make the least amount from their music. They sometimes own the least from the rights of their music. Most other executives own most of it, which doesn't happen in any other digital or creative industry or creative like scene or whatever genre area. Most of people, especially streamers and stuff, content creators, influencers, you own all your intellectual property for the most part. Maybe you partner up with an advertising agency or whatever to kind of get ads for you, or you book, or you hire a manager to maybe do those deals for you. But the majority of the work that you put out there, the majority of the work that you create, you own and you profit from, you gain from. Whereas in music, that is not the case. It's mostly the actual fucking record labels, the publishing platforms, whatever it may be, the studios, the this, the that. They're the ones that own the lion's share of your artistry. So they also earn it. So then you have to then go out and tour for an unspecified amount of time. Maybe until the day that you die, to actually gain any money. You might get some money from your streaming. You might get some money from your royalties, some money from whatever your masters, publishing. But the majority of artists make the large chunk of their money either through merch or from touring, because you can pocket that money. But any other person in content, you keep everything. If you go on tour, you keep most of the fucking gate. If you fucking do a stream, you keep most of the money from there. You do a video, you get an ad, you get most of the money from there. So it's actually kind of sad that this is not a common thing, but maybe because a lot of artists follow big artists in terms of trends, maybe Taylor getting her masters back might kind of inspire some artists to maybe hold on to their masters, not be so close to sign them, not be so quick to sign them away, which I understand as well. I have sympathy for it. I understand if you're a struggling artist and a record label comes up to you and says, "Hey, we're going to give you 100 grand for a fucking 100-year contract for 10 albums, right? I can understand why you'd sign that, even though it's fucking not the greatest for you, because you're going to get the 100 grand up front that you never would have had beforehand, A bank wouldn't give you a loan. You probably got debts over that kind of amount. So I get people kind of sign their lives away, but I'm hoping now with more information that people would be hesitant to do it so quickly and would maybe wait to see how things play out, because maybe when things play out, you might be in a better position. It continues. Her announcement Swift expressed gratitude and praised Shamrock for how they handled the deal, noting they understood the deeply personal meaning behind the transaction. Deeply personal meaning. Bitch, you gave them 360 million. Of course they're going to sell it back to you. 360 million, 360 million. My memories and my sweat and my handwriting and my decades of dreams, she writes, I'm endlessly thankful. My first tattoo might just be a shamrock in the middle of my forehead. Lols. Look at her being funny. Of the superstars purchase, Braun tells Billboard, I'm happy for her. Yeah, of course you are. The saga of Swiss Masters goes back to June 2019 when Ithaca purchased Big Machine's label group, which owned the master recordings of Swift's first 6 albums for an estimated 300 million. Swift's catalogue was worth at least half of that amount, according to the estimate at the time. Over the years, Swift has publicly declared displeasure of shuffling around of her masters, and in 2019 began re-recording those Big Machine albums in order to restore control over her songs. Her recording journey started. So yeah, shit. Big up Taylor Swift, man. That's actually quite a big deal. That's actually quite a big deal. By the way, look at the numbers, bro. 281 million followers. I can't imagine. Could you imagine what her DMs are like? I sometimes get a little bit flustered with the amount of messages that I get from my fucking tiny little podcasts and fucking live stream. Could you imagine? Could you imagine how crazy her fucking DMs are? Could you imagine how crazy her DMs are? 281 million. God damn. So this is a picture, slideshow of her celebrating the fact she got all her masters back. This is the albums that she got the masters back from. She's happy. She's over the moon. Hands up in the air. Super relatable. People love her. And yeah, man. Congratulations to her, I guess. Congrats to Taylor. Congrats to fucking blood clot Taylor Swift. Great to see. Great to blood clot see.